Before we start today's video, I want to let it be known, I am not an Aaron Glenn defender and I refuse to die on that hill. Here's receipts. As you can see, way back in November of last year, I was calling Aaron Glenn out for continuing blown coverages I was seeing every week during Lions games. And I was very vocal about it. And even more recently, I literally just made a video about holding Aaron Glenn accountable after the Eagles loss. Timing is a thing that me and Lions fans just can't get on the same page with. Ironic, right? At the time, all of the slappies said I was being a big, mean, negative pants, and nobody watched that video. Aww. But here we are, 3 weeks later, and you all want him fired. Who's the negative Nancy now? But anyway, screw it. If you want to fire Aaron Glenn, do it. Be my guest. I never thought he was special anyways. But before you go all Donald Trump on his ass, let's take a little trip down memory lane. You know, they say those who forget the past are soon to repeat it. So let's go. Did you know that the Detroit Lions had a top 10 defense just 4 short years ago? I swear, yes, it's true, I swear it. Under then first-year head coach Matt Patricia, the Lions actually had a top 10 defense. Players make plays, not coaches. And if you have good players, you will get good production. The players don't have to like the coaches, and the coaches don't have to like the players. But you have to have good players. The guys hated his guts, but they were studs, so they ended up a top 10 defense. With all the rule changes, you cannot half-ass it on adding defensive talent. And that's the biggest difference between our nucleus of young talent that we have now and even what the fake rocket scientists understood then. Check this out. In 2018, our defense featured guys like Ezekiel Ansah, a 5th overall draft pick who had 48 sacks in 6 years. It featured guys like Damon Snacks Harrison, who we acquired via a trade with the New York Giants. He was voted PFF's best run defender 4 years in a row. A baller. You had Glover Quinn, added in free agency. He was a veteran leader on the defense, had 19 interceptions in 6 years. You had Quandre Diggs, a 6th-round gem who ended up starting 40 games for the Detroit Lions. 40 games, remember that number. Darius Slay, drafted 36th overall. An actual pick in the 2nd round that was able to produce for the team, and he had 19 interceptions in 7 years. Then you had the young guys like Jarrad Davis, drafted 21st overall. Now he didn't end up being good at all, but he was 24 years old, 1st round pick, and an investment into the defense. Same with A'Shawn Robinson, drafted 46 overall, 23 years of age. He looked 33. And he's a starter for the LA Rams now. Then on top of that, they picked up guys like Romeo Okwara, an undrafted free agent that ended up having 7.5 sacks for that team that year. And they acquired him via the waiver wire. So we've already seen adding guys via the waiver wire. They added Snacks Harrison via trade, Ezekiel Ansah, 5th overall pick, but he was already almost 50 sacks in at this point, right? You compare that to today and what we're putting on the field, and it just isn't fair to even compare these two defenses. Aiden Hutchinson is out there. He's the number 2 overall, but he's a rookie. He's 22 years old, and he has 4 career starts. Jeff Okudah, the number 3 overall pick. He's also 23 years old with 11 career starts. Then you got Deshaun Elliott, a 6th round pick. He's 25 years old. He missed 20 games in 3 years due to injuries in Baltimore. He has 1 career interception. Michael Brockers is supposed to be the veteran leadership on this team. Without Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers has 1 sacks in 20 games as a Lion. And he for damn sure ain't no Snacks Harrison. He finished last year with a 40 PFF grade. And this year, it's up to 56. So go him. but he still sucks. Alex Anzalone was a 3rd round pick, but he was a career backup who had 20 starts in 4 years, filling in for guys missing time due to injuries. Let's go Mike Hughes. He was a 1st round pick, drafted 30th overall. But he's never started more than 5 games in a season, and he has 3 interceptions in 5 years. Another career backup or draft bust. And then you get to Charles Harris, drafted 22nd overall, draft bust. Before starting 14 games for Detroit last year, Charles Harris had 9 career starts in 4 years. The good news? He got 7.5 sacks and was a splash player for the team. The bad news? He signed a $14 million contract and quickly regressed back into the draft bust again and currently has a 56 PFF grade. So guys, understand, I'm not saying it's okay that the Seattle Seahawks punter got to spend an entire NFL game chilling with the Water Boys. But I am saying that simply firing Aaron Glenn ain't gonna fix nothing. The biggest difference between, and this is for Dan Orlovsky, this defense and Matt Patricia's defense is, well, Matt Patricia had players on that defense at one point that showed you, no matter how bad you think the scheme is, if you got Darius Slay, Glover Quinn, Quandre Diggs, Snacks Harrison, this scheme can be elevated to a top 10 defense, right? So, and also the same defense won Super Bowls in New England. It's all about the talent level of the players that you put out there on the field. The Detroit Lions went bargain hunting when they added defensive talent to this team. Now, I'm not saying drafting Aiden Hutchinson, that's one cog in the machine, right? There are too many players on injured reserve that are not playing. You get to talking about Aiden Hutchinson. You got Josh Pascal, who was drafted in the 2nd round. He's been on IR, but he's supposed to come back soon. In the 3rd round, you got Kirby Joseph, who played, but that was his first career game. Malcolm Rodrigo has been playing in all 4 games, and he's been solid. I don't think James Houston is on the team anymore. Chase Lucas was a healthy scratch. Levi Onwuzurike was drafted in the 2nd round. He's on injured reserve. Eileen McNeil has, I think, 6 tackles in 4 games. Ife Melifonwu was on injured reserve, and he hasn't played a game this season. And then Derek Barnes is having one of the worst years we've seen in a long time from a young guy. He had like 29 PFF grade the last time I checked. You can't throw this team outside on Sundays and expect anybody, anywhere to do anything. There's no way. I mean, and I'm not trying to make this video about, Matt Patricia. We all know the Matt Patricia experience was a terrible experience. It was a failure of a regime, right? Even that guy could get you a top 10 defense, but it wasn't with the bums. He didn't do it with Tease Tabor, and he didn't do it without having guys that were quality players in this league. And so until the Detroit Lions get some veterans, quality veterans in this league. Alex Anzalone, I mean, come on, man. You're asking guys that had 9, you're asking guys with 4 or 5 years in the league to come over here and start full time for you, make plays, and be a contributor in defense when they have less than 10 career starts. Or you're finding guys coming off of rookie contracts that got drafted in the 1st round that are complete draft busts. These guys were drafted in the 1st round and were never good enough to start for the teams that drafted them, and then they're coming in and they're our bookend players. It's not going to work. So I don't have an obsession or a love or any, if Aaron Glenn is fired tomorrow, I don't lose any sleep. I've been thought we were blowing too many coverages. But it's just going to be a revolving door that never stops revolving until you go out and you get Snacks Harrison, Darius Slay, Glover Quinn, Quandre Diggs, Romeo Okwara off the waiver wire, give you 7.5 sacks. Or Ezekiel Ansah, drafted 5th overall, has 48 sacks in his career already. It wasn't his second year, or, this is Aiden Hutchinson's 4th start in the league. He's not your Ziggy Ansah. Ziggy had 50 sacks almost. You're asking about the youngest defense in the league. And then on top of that, Aaron Glenn had a defense last year, right? So instead of having guys be comfortable in year 2 of a defense, he was asked to change his scheme. So we went from a 3-4 last year to the 4-3 this year. There's no time to add wrinkles. My starters are injured. Tracy Walker and Romeo Okwara just got paid millions of dollars and they're on injured reserve. I'm rotating in rookie after rookie. I can't add complex wrinkles. We just started doing this shit. If we kept the same defense from last year, yeah, then I can add in a bunch of wrinkles. But everything is changing. On top of that, it's the youngest defense in the NFL. So I'm saying fire Aaron Glenn tomorrow if you want to, but then you're gonna bring in defensive coordinator X. And defensive coordinator X is gonna bring in a brand new scheme with a bunch of 22 and 23-year-olds who have 11 career starts under their belt. They're gonna have to learn, some of them are gonna be their 3rd defense in 2 years, and everybody's gonna be confused and lost, and guess what? It is not gonna get any better. At the end of the day, you need a mix between young studs, solid veterans, and then you need those Malcolm Rodrigos that you find in the 4th round, just like they had a Quandre Diggs that they found in the 6th round. You have to have all the layers of that cake before you can eat it. So again, I'm not saying it's okay that the Seahawks never punted. I would never say that. But what I am saying is, what in the hell did you expect? So go, fire Aaron Glenn. I'll get on that bandwagon with all of you. Let's fire Aaron Glenn today. Let's get him out of here. But then what are we gonna do? It's been your boy, There Goes Mobby. I'm out.